Yeah, you mentioned the offensive struggles for the Marlins. They rank bottom of the National League in runs per game, right at 4. And the first pitch of the game is in there for a called strike, says Bill Miller.
Yeah, your umpiring crew for this ball game, Bill Miller behind the plate. Chad Whitson is at first, Roberto Ortiz at second, and last night's home plate umpire Rob Drake over at third.
0-2 the count as Soler tips one back behind the plate. Good start for Ashcraft, throwing 2 consecutive strikes to the power-hitting leadoff man Jorge Soler. It's a short sample size because Soler has not started too many games in this number 1 spot in his career, but he does have 6 home runs.
He hit a little leadoff for the Braves in the World Series championship year. This one's fouled off out of play to the right. And when Ronald Acuna went down and the Braves went out and got Soler from the Royals, and he, of course, wound up being World Series MVP for the Braves and that incredible turnaround in their last 60 ball games and then through the playoff run.
0-2 pitch, and that's outside. Yeah, the 2021 Braves were really one of the first teams that developed this sense of, hey, we can do this, for a lot of teams that were on the edge, like the Braves were, because at the time they bought at the deadline in 2021, they were 6 games under 500. I mean, a lot of people thought, they were going to sell. Were they going to trade Freddie Freeman, Charlie Morton, a couple of other of their impending free agents? They decided to go for it, and they won the World Series. The Philadelphia Phillies last year, another classic example of that. And here are 2 teams playing today, the Reds and Marlins, who followed suit. Here's a ground ball up the middle, and that'll get it to left center field for a leadoff base hit, and Soler just continues to hit out of that number 1 spot. I'd say he's not going to move anytime soon.
Yeah, just big guy, but man, he's on a tear. That makes him 5 for 8 now in the series, so good start for the Marlins.
And here comes the leader in the National League, actually all of baseball, in batting average, Luis Arraez, looking up at the big screen in left field here at Great American Ballpark, 370. For the reigning American League batting champion, and he takes strike 1.
Yeah, he was flirting with 400 for the first 3.5 months of the season. He's kind of cooled off a little bit here. He's 0 for 5 in the series. He did not start in Monday night's game. Or actually, he did not start last night's game. Came in and pinch hit and was retired. So he's 0 for 5 in the series after 0 for 4 Monday night.
Isn't that hilarious to say? Guy hitting 370 has actually cooled off a bit.
Yeah. 370 with a 462 slug, so he's actually added a little bit of slug. But that's one area where the Marlins have really, really struggled this year. We were talking about it before the game, Jared, and they are 3rd in all of baseball in batting average, but they are 22nd in slug, and they are near the bottom in home runs, and also on base percentage is not that great. Most of that came from their base hits because they just don't walk that much, and so it's very disparaging numbers there between. You would think the Marlins hitting as well as they do would score more runs, but that's been their struggle. Their pitching has kept them where they are.
Crowd gets loud for Ashcraft here. 2 strikes on a hard guy to strike out, Luis Arraez, and he bangs one up the middle. De La Cruz with a diving stop, and he'll beat Soler to the base.
What a tremendous play by De La Cruz as he went behind the bag, dove, and then got up in a foot race with Jorge Soler. That hit looked like it was headed for center field, and instead it's a fielder's choice out in the first out of this first inning. Great play by De La Cruz.
Yeah, with Arraez's speed, they were never going to get 2 outs there, and De La Cruz did the right thing. I feel like that was his only play, was to beat Soler to the base, and that is the thing about having a guy like Jorge Soler hit out of the leadoff spot, is he's not the fleetest of foot. And here comes former Cleveland Guardian Josh Bell, and he takes inside for ball 1. Bell was with Pittsburgh for a lot of years early on in his career, then was traded over to Washington. Last deadline was traded along with Juan Soto to San Diego in that monster deal that shook up baseball at the deadline. Signed with the Guardians and then was acquired at the buzzer by the Miami Marlins.
Yeah, trying to add some more thump to this lineup. In the first game, he hit a home run. And he's hit 8 for 27 8 for 26 in his first 7 or 8 ball games with the Marlins, so he's been a good sign for them so far. But now Ashcraft's ahead of him, a ball and 2 strikes.
Yeah, Bell was struggling with Cleveland at the time of the trade, but in a short sample size has hit pretty well with his new team. The 1-2 pitch, that's way inside.
Been a roller coaster year for Ashcraft so far. Started off really, really well, and then he kind of went through a slump, but his last 5 games, as we said, he's been pretty strong. We'll talk about that a little more as the game goes on.
2-2 pitch. Bell is late on a fastball. Ashcraft tied him up and in, and that is the second out of the inning.
Strikeouts been the theme of the series so far. 22 strikeouts by the Marlins. That's 23. 21 by the Reds so far offensively. So a lot of strikeouts. We'll see how that plays out today.
And here is a guy that is very susceptible to the strikeout, Jazz Chisholm Jr. This guy, when healthy, can be a superstar in this sport. But therein lies the problem. Jazz, in his 3 seasons with the Marlins, he played 140 games back in 2021. But last year was an injury-plagued season. This year's similar story. Primarily been the second baseman for him the last couple of years, but after the Arise trade, they moved him to center, and he promptly bangs a base hit into center field, moving Arise to second base. And the Marlins keep the top of the first inning alive, and here's Brian De La Cruz.
Left fielder number 14, Brian
De La Cruz got 1 hit so far in the series. He's 1 for 7 in the series after going 0 for 4 last night.
De La Cruz, the left fielder for the Marlins. This is his 3rd season with Miami. He was originally signed by the Houston Astros as an international free agent, was sent to Miami at the 2021 trade deadline for Yimi Garcia. I'm sure at the time the Astros did not think that De La Cruz would turn into the power-hitting corner outfielder that he has with Miami. It's looking like a steal more and more every single day. And Graham quickly falls behind. 2 balls, no strikes with a couple of runners on.
De La Cruz hitting .264 in the season so far, slugging .429. He's got 39 extra base hits on the season. Miami would love one here to jump on top.
It's going to be grounded towards the middle. Second baseman Matt McLean fields and throws on the run to first. And that'll retire the side. The Marlins have a couple of hits, and they leave a couple. Johnny Cueto will be facing the team that originally signed him, and the team that he had a whole lot of success for.
Yeah, we talked about it. 143 wins, 110 losses in his career. 92 of those wins right here for these Reds. But he's struggling so far this year. 0 for 3, as we said, in 5 appearances. The 37-year-old from the Dominican Republic. And he gets that first pitch by a swinging De La Cruz. See if Cueto can find some of the old Cincinnati magic here today.
De La Cruz pops one up left side. This is going to curl into the seats over there by the left field line. Let's go ahead and set this Marlins defense for you. The veteran catcher Jacob Stallings is going to be the battery mate for Cueto. Bell, Arise, Birdie, and Berger around the infield from first to third. And then the other De La Cruz in this game, Brian De La Cruz in left, Jazz Chisholm, and Abisail Garcia in right.
And the young phenom for the Reds, so much excitement. Comes into this game hitting .259, .455 slugging.
And Cueto gets him swinging with a good changeup down in the zone. And that's a veteran just carving up a rookie right there.
Yeah, you know, De La Cruz took the league by storm when he broke through in May and just really set this team afire in this city. And he still is just such an exciting ball player. But like most rookies find out, you stay in long enough, these teams find out where the hole is in your swing, and they make adjustments. And now it's up to De La Cruz to make those adjustments.
So, Dad, as you said, Johnny Cueto, 37 years of age. He does not necessarily blow you away or anything. How does a guy like him still have success here at the late stages of his career?
Well, it's about guile now. His experience, changing speeds, changing the timing of his delivery, all these funky moves. Louis Tion sometimes, hesitation moves, sometimes almost to the point of such exaggeration, it's almost like a clown show, but he'll even look in at his guys there. He speeds up his delivery to the plate out of his windup where he comes quicker, just trying to disrupt the timing of the hitters. As I said, can't overpower them, so he's got to try and baffle them with movement and timing.
DJ Friedel in the 2 spot for the Reds, and he fouls one back. The count is a ball and 2 strikes. Friedel enjoying a very good season for this Reds ball club, hitting .285, and he's also hit some home runs this year.
Yeah, he actually leads the league in bunt hits, but he's also been slugging lately. He's slugging up to .455. He's 3 for 7 in the series, having a good series here against Miami.
He rolls this one over to Luis Arraez, and he'll handle it with no trouble at all. And quickly, the first 2 Reds are retired by Johnny Cueto.
The second baseman, number 9.
So everything that the Marlins had hoped for from Cueto in this start, holding down this potent Reds lineup. We talked about it, the difference between these 2 teams, similar records, but they've done it in very different ways. The Reds, 28th in the league in pitching, especially from their starters, and but high potent offense, whereas the Marlins have done it with pitching and sporadic offense.
In steps the second baseman Matt McLean in his rookie year, and here's a line drive to right field, pretty much right at Avisail Garcia. And the Reds legend Johnny Cueto sets down De La Cruz, Friedel, and McLean.
He's 6-7 overall with a .518 earned run average, but he started out in his first 6 games with only a 2 ERA, but then he went through a stretch of 7 starts where his ERA just took off and he had trouble getting people out, whether that had something to do with the injury that put him on the injured list. But since he's come back, he's really kind of righted the ship. And boy, the Reds need that if they're going to stay in this wild card or even Central Division playoff hunt.
Quickly, no balls, 2 strikes on the right fielder, Avisail Garcia. And he gets him swinging on 3 pitches. Second strikeout of the game for Ashcraft.
Third baseman, number 36, Jake Berger.
And you know, if he's really turned the corner on his season, like you said, I mean, that's going to be huge for him, especially right now because they are expecting, Hunter Green to come back at some point. And so right now, with him on the injured list, they're just kind of piecing it together until they get their ace back.
Yeah, Hunter Green threw a rehab outing last night, and they're hoping to get him back pretty soon, and that would be a huge boost. One of the things about this Reds team, they did not make a pitching move. A lot of people thought they were going to, whether they just couldn't find somebody that they felt fit or what, but one of the things they did say was getting Green back would be like adding a quality starter, so they're hoping to get a young right-hander back as quickly as possible.
So here is Jake Berger playing in his 8th game with the Marlins. He was acquired at the trade deadline, a part of the fire sale from the Chicago White Sox. Berger was in his 3rd season in the big leagues. Having a pretty good year, too. 23 home runs at the time of the trade. And that's exactly the kind of thing the Marlins were looking for. Berger's not going to blow you away with his average or anything, but he can hit a long ball. And the Marlins needed some guys who could hit the long ball.
Yeah, like we said, 22nd overall in baseball in slug. I mean, when you think about that, they're top 3 in batting average, if they had any kind of slug at all. And so they added guys.
Berger is frozen on a slider that just dropped in the middle of the zone, and Berger was completely fooled. That's back-to-back strikeouts for Ashcraft, his 3rd overall in the ballgame.
Ashcraft gave up 2 singles in that first inning, but he looks really sharp here. The big play by De La Cruz that kept him out of real trouble. But here's the numbers we were talking about. In his first 6 starts through May 2nd, he went 2-0 with a 2 ERA. Opponents only batting .202 against him. But in his next 8 appearances from May 7th through June 24th, he went 1-6 with almost a 13 ERA, and opponents hitting almost .400 against him. But his last 7 games, he has figured it out. Since June 30th, 6 quality starts. He's 3-1 with a 205 earned run average, and batting. Teams are only batting 226 against him, and he's off to a great start here. Looks really sharp. 3 strikeouts early.
Here's the number 8 hitter, the light-hitting catcher, Jacob Stallings, and he chops one over to Nick Senzel, the utility man for the Reds, and he throws a strike to Joey Votto.
The Reds were out on 4 pitches, but he only threw about 10 or 11 pitches in that first inning, so see how he does here, and he starts one high to Steer for ball 1.
Yeah, that was the 12th pitch of the game for Cueto, so it only took him 11 to get through that first inning against some pretty tough guys to retire. Steer has kind of been a Swiss Army knife for the Reds this season. He's got 17 home runs. That leads the team. But he also can play just about anywhere David Bell needs him to. How valuable is that kind of a guy to a team in a pennant race?
Oh, man, when you look at this Reds team, it's such a revamped team over last year's team. A lot of young first-year guys, second-year guys. Jonathan India only in his 3rd year. But Steer has been huge, as you said, playing all over the field, but it hasn't affected his offense.
He lines that one sharply to left field, and it is snagged by Brian De La Cruz, and he had to leave his feet to secure that smash off of the bat of Spencer Steer.
Steer hit that ball so hard it just carried out to him when it left the bat. I thought sure it was going to be a hit. He absolutely squared it up, and as De La Cruz went toward left center, he slid and caught the ball about knee high and robbed Steer of the leadoff hit.
This is the matchup I was looking forward to see. How about Johnny Cueto versus Joey Votto?
The grizzled veterans.
Yeah, these guys are going to be 2 future Reds Hall of Famers, that's for sure. We'll see if each of them get into the Baseball Hall of Fame at some point in their career.
I think Votto's got a much better chance than Cueto.
Absolutely.
Cueto's been good. He's been even very good at times, but I don't know about Hall of Fame numbers. But Joey Votto is right there. A lot of people believe he's a shoe-in.
And he's going to get the first Reds hit of the day. A ground ball in between Bell and Arise, and Votto beats his old teammate in the first matchup.
And I'm sure he gave him a wry smile. Cueto looked at him. They tipped their hats. These guys, a lot of years, 7 seasons playing together here for this Reds franchise. And that's got to feel good for Votto. Votto, who hitting right around 200, 100 points below his career average. But he's been a huge mentor to this young Reds team.
Absolutely. And here's Christian Encarnacion Strand breaking his bat and lofting one into right field. Garcia with an easy play. And 1 pitch, and Cueto retires the possible heir apparent to Joey Votto at first base once he hangs him up.
Yeah, young man with just a lot of thunder in his bat. And he hit a home run the other night, and it got out of here in a hurry. So, yep, and Votto, being the quality veteran he is, helping kind of turn things over to him.
Here's Tyler Stevenson, the Reds catcher, swinging and missing at the first pitch. A lot of first pitch swings here against Cueto, and that's part of what I was saying about how he doesn't blow anybody away, but he also lives in the strike zone and all around the strike zone. So you're going to see a lot of early swings, especially on a day game here today.
Yeah, in his last start, he lost 4-2 to the Phillies. He faced 23 batters in 6 full innings of work. He only walked 2, struck out 4, so they put it in play through 100 pitches, 66 of them were strikes. He did give up 5 hits and one of them a home run, and that was one of his 3 losses as the Marlins lost that game to the Phillies 4-2.
That is in there for a called third strike, and that's going to end things here in the bottom of the second. Stevenson is really upset with Bill Miller, but I'm sure he's going to want that same call for Graham Ashcraft later in the game.
Yeah, you talk about a Swiss Army knife. This guy Birdie has been this for the Marlins for a number of years now. Can play pretty much anywhere in the infield, can fill in the outfield. He has got occasional pop as a hitter, great speed, just a really good guy to round out a 26-man roster.
Yeah, Birdie was originally drafted by the Toronto Blue Jays way back in 2011. He did have a cup of coffee with them in 2018, and then at the end of the year, they DFA'd him, was claimed by the Marlins, and has been on their roster in every season since then. He is going to foul this one back, and the count is 1-2.
Birdie hitting 286 on the season in 96 games, almost 300 official at bats. So it's been had a very solid year for Skip Schumacher, and just that's the kind of player he's been. I'd say not what you call spectacular, but very, very competent and really, really good piece on this team.
In a way, he is a lot like Skip Schumacher was in his playing days.
Yeah, that's a great point. Schumacher like that for a number of teams, including the Cardinals. That's where I remember him the most from.
2 balls and 2 strikes here from Ashcraft to Birdie, and he is going to tap this one foul over by his dugout. Birdie led Major League Baseball in stolen bases last season, 41. And obviously, before they increased the size of the bases, that was considered a really big number.
Yeah, and with the throw-over restrictions now, and stolen bases way up.
A couple of bounces to De La Cruz. He's got a cannon, and he will get Birdie by a couple of steps. Just softly bounced over to the 6'10" shortstop over there. I mean, he resembles O'Neal Cruz on the Pirates, that phenom over there in Pittsburgh. Obviously, no relation between the two, but, I mean, pretty similar playing styles, too.
Jared, I'm old enough to remember a time when you would never, ever have had a guy playing shortstop at 6'10".
Yeah.
It's just, wow, how the game has changed. All the guys are bigger. I mean, in every position, the guys are bigger. It's still a game where small guys can play, but these guys are so big now, and with the change at shortstop with guys like Ripken and Jeter and Garcia Parra and Rodriguez and the like, that change to Lewitsky, that were the big guys playing short and haven't lost any of their nimbleness either. And De La Cruz is just an exciting baseball player that can't wait to see him continue to develop in his major league career. A lot of excitement here in Cincinnati, I'll tell you that.
That ball in the dirt to Jorge Soler. Started this game with a base hit up the middle. He hasn't been retired since Monday night.
Yep. 5 hits in the series, including a couple of home runs.
Try to battle here with Ashcraft in a 1-2 count, and that's up and in. Ashcraft has 3 strikeouts. 2 of them were last inning. He did get 1 in the first. He'll try to put away the Marlins' top power hitter. 28 home runs on the year for Soler.
When you think about that, 28 home runs, only 62 RBIs, which isn't bad, but again, that speaks to the problem that the Marlins have been having.
Soler bounces that one to the aforementioned Ellie De La Cruz, and both of the putouts are recorded by the Reds phenom. So quickly 2 up, 2 down here. Birdie and Soler round out. Here's Luis Ariz. He grounded out to Ellie De La Cruz his first time, although it was anything but routine, looking like it was going to be a base hit. De La Cruz sprawled out, used every bit of his long body, and then beat Soler to second base for the force out. Ariz was acquired by the Marlins in a trade in the offseason. They sent Pablo Lopez along with a couple of prospects over to Minnesota. And the Twins, who are in first place and in search of some more offense, I bet are wanting to have Ariz back right about now.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Ariz now quickly behind 0-2, and he'll take his time out. Bill Miller will get resupplied with baseballs. Here's just another testament to what we've been talking about with this Marlins and their lack of slug. Ariz got 157 hits on this season, well on his way to 200. Only 31 of them so far have been extra base hits. So, and that's throughout the team. And that's why you saw them go out and get guys like Bell and Berger to try to add some punch to this lineup.
That one bounces in there. An easy take for quite possibly the best pure hitter in this sport. This guy just simply does not strike out. Now, obviously, don't take that literally. He does occasionally, but he has the lowest strikeout rate in Major League Baseball, and he has held that for about 3 straight seasons. In fact, in the shortened 2020 season, albeit only 60 games, Ariz struck out 9 times all year. and played in 57 of those games.
Yeah, it's just so different in this era of baseball where 3 true outcomes and not concerned as much about strikeouts.
Here's a grounder over to Senzel. He's got it and throws out a rise. So he's 0 for 2 today against Ashcraft, and he looks locked in early.
Yeah, tough next 6 games for Miami as they'll host or play the Yankees and then Houston, who's really seeming to come into their own right now, really hitting their stride in that battle in the American League West with Texas. Yeah, the Angels trying to hang on. But the schedules remaining, Miami, based on win-loss record, has the 7th toughest schedule in all of baseball remaining. They play teams like Houston, Atlanta, Tampa, Philadelphia, Milwaukee, Dodgers. All those are first or second place teams in every division. Also San Diego, the Yankees, and then the Mets, Pittsburgh, and Washington. So 8 of those 11 opponents.
Gonna cut in here and tell you that Johnny Cueto just got Nick Senzel looking. That's the 2nd strikeout of the game for Johnny Cueto.
Back-to-back looking strikes for him, and he is really pumping the strike zone. He's only thrown 26 pitches to retire the first 8 batters, so averaging just over 3 pitches per at bat. And Ashcraft is approaching. He's unscored upon, but he's already close to 50 pitches in 3 innings. So quite a different approach here early on.
I'm going to correct myself and say 3 strikeouts in the game. He did get De La Cruz swinging to start and then punched out Stevenson and Senzel back-to-back. This is going to be Cueto's 28th pitch of the game, and that was only his 7th ball. So it's 1-1 on the 9th place hitter, Stuart Fairchild, the last guy to get his first at-bat here today. Fairchild in there playing right field for the Reds. Typically you're going to see the likes of Will Benson or Jake Fraley, who is on the IL. Fairchild went 1 for 3 in the game yesterday, 1 for 6 overall in the series.
He's getting a lot of playing time now with both India and out of the lineup, and now Fraley on the injured list, and then Benson struggling recently, so David Bell giving him a chance to sit back and regroup. They're going to need that young man down the stretch if they're going to continue and stay in this playoff race. Really, really young team, but very different. When you think about the Reds and their team last year, the last 2 years, and a lot of turnover, just some very different names. A lot of young players, a lot of young talented players now playing for this Reds lineup, and it's been a very different year than what we've seen the last couple of years. A couple of years ago, I was surprised that David Bell was surviving. That's losing 100 games and really, really struggled in the National League Central. But boy, have they had a very exciting and promising year, and the future looks really bright. I think the Reds are going to be a team that has to be dealt with in this National League Central for good 4 or 5 years to come. They can add some pitching.
3-2 pitch here on Fairchild, and he got him swinging, got him to chase up and in with a fastball. And Cueto with 3 straight strikeouts now, dating back to the 2nd inning.
A 1-out ground ball base hit, the only thing Cueto's given up so far as he's through the order for the first time. Now we'll see what kind of adjustments the Reds can make against the veteran Cueto.
That strikeout against Fairchild was the first 3-ball count of the game for Cueto. So, I mean, he has been just pumping in strikes. And he took Ellie De La Cruz to school to begin the game here. Got him swinging on a changeup. And this is going to be lined literally right at Josh Bell. De La Cruz never even got out of the box. So 1, 2, 3 in the 3rd goes the Reds. First pitch of the 4th here is going to be fouled off by Josh Bell. He struck out his first time up. Bell, the first baseman today for Miami. He's probably going to play first the majority of the time here. He could get some DH spots too, but with Jorge Soler, I would go ahead and pencil him in to be the first baseman for Miami for the remainder of the year. He is a better lefty hitter than he is a righty, so maybe against left-handed pitching, they'll sneak Yuli Gurriel into the first base slot, most likely.
Yeah, and then maybe drop Bell into DH, like you say. That's his 2 positions. And so with Gurriel and Soler and Bell. You got to try to keep those guys all hitting in this lineup and trying to give you that thump that we talked about. So that's what the Marlins are counting on as they try to stay in this wild card race. Like we said, for them, that's their really only real path to the playoffs, and it's going to be carried there by the arms of their pitchers. But we need more out of the lineup here. We got a pitch clock violation here on Ashcraft.
Yep. Saw the clock run down and Bill Miller stand out and say, yep. Started pointing to the watch. So that is going to be a 2-2 count here on Bell. It's our first violation of the day. Haven't seen many overall in this season. As here's a drive the other way to left field, and Josh Bell is going to get the Marlins on the board with an opposite field home run.
Boy, that's the Great American Small Park right there. As he hit it hard, but just over the top of the wall and into the first row for a home run for Bell. And that's what they got him for. That's home run number 12 for him on the season. Is 50 or 13 now, his 52nd RBI. So the Marlins strike first here in this rubber game.
Second home run as a Marlin for Bell. He homered in his first game when he got traded over. And then that one to get them on the board against Ashcraft and the Reds. And just got a fastball on the outside part of the plate and just went with it out to left field.
Yeah, the opposite way. 328 down the line, so that one is at about 30 feet inside the foul line. So probably about 340, 345, I would guess. We'll get the tail of the tape here in just a moment. But it was a hard line drive that just cleared the wall. Now Jazz Chisholm having this disagreement with Bill Miller behind the plate. Bill Miller, a strong personality as umpires go. Crew chief on this crew.
Yeah, I want to say there was a dispute about the time call because, the hitters only get one timeout, and I think Bill Miller was saying the Jazz used it, but I think Jazz was indicating otherwise. I'm not sure what exactly was going on there, but that's my best guess from all the way up here. 0-1 on Chisholm, who is 1 for 1 today.
Jazz, an excitable character, a lot of personality, so a couple of type A's right there. Bill Miller, if you know anything about the umpires, a strong personality, won't back down from anybody. So that should be interesting as the day wears on. Roberto Ortiz out at second. He ejected Avisail Garcia in game 1 of this series, and then Shoemaker followed him shortly after that.
Chisholm, as I mentioned earlier, is in his 3rd season with the Marlins. He was acquired at the 2019 trade deadline from the Arizona Diamondbacks for Zach Gallen. And Chisholm is going to go down swinging. Ashcraft bounces back after the home run and gets Jazz for his 4th strikeout of the day.
3rd one swinging. It's a good bounce back after that home run. Solo home runs, they rarely beat you. Good hitters sometimes beat good pitchers, but the way to avoid the big innings is to keep the guys off the base. And again, like I said, especially with this Marlins team, a lot of their home runs have been solo because they don't have the greatest on-base percentage. Especially when you consider their high batting average as a team.
De La Cruz bounces one over the second base bag, but McLean was in a modified shift, and he will get the Marlin left fielder for out number 2.
Matt McLean is taking care of De La Cruz twice now in his 2 at-bats. And so quickly 2 up and 2 down following the leadoff home run by Bell here in the top of the 4th.
Yeah, is it just me, or is Matt McLean not getting enough Rookie of the Year talk in the National League?
Man, I mean, De La Cruz is flash, but Matt McLean, wow, just an outstanding-looking baseball player for this Reds team.
Garcia swings at the first pitch and lines one to Fairchild for the 3rd and final out. So Ashcraft got the next 3 after the Josh Bell leadoff homer in the 4th. That Frito grounded out his first time up. There's only 1 hit in the game against Johnny Cueto, and that was off the bat of Joey Votto. Other than that, really nothing brewing for the Reds today. There's a really good crowd here for a Wednesday afternoon in August. I'm not going to lie, I was not expecting this kind of a crowd. Do you think any of it at all has to do with Johnny Cueto being here?
I think so. I think this town is very appreciative of what Johnny Cueto did for his time here. 20-game winner. Also won 19 games one season, helped him to the playoffs, and just a colorful character, too, in and around the community. So I think that's part of it. School, if it hasn't started back in Cincinnati, probably starting here the next few days, so that might help. It's businessman special, and the rain didn't scare away a whole lot of people.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, they're exciting right now. People are just wanting to go see the Reds, especially after the last few years. Here's a bunt by Friedel. Cueto is quick off the mound. How about Johnny on the spot right there?
Yeah, we mentioned that Friedel leads the majors in bunt hits. That one he got a little bit more toward the mound than he wanted to push that one more toward the third base line. And Johnny Cueto, 37 years of age, still with the cat-like reactions as he bounces off the mound. And he gets Friedel by a couple of steps. Good start to the fourth for Cueto.
Yeah, a really good start. A really nice play on a speedy runner. The Reds lead Major League Baseball in stolen bases, so the fact that he's keeping guys like Friedel off the base paths is huge because Cueto, you know, as we talked about, has the deliberate delivery sometimes, and it could be a guy that you can get a good jump off of.
Yeah, here in a ballpark that is tailor-made for home runs.
So McLean lines one to center. Jazz is right there for out number 2, and the Reds are once again going down quickly.
I mean, Cueto only at 42 pitches now to 2 outs here in the fourth, so very economical with his pitches. Aggressive. I guess you see that sometimes on getaway days. You said both these teams will be heading out of town after today's ball game. They do have an off day. It looks like the Reds will take their off day in Pittsburgh, while the Marlins head home to face the Yankees.
Everybody clap your hands.
Spencer Steer's the kind of guy that can tie up the game with one swing. Like I said, he leads this Reds team with 17 home runs. He lined out in his first at-bat.
Very nice play by De La Cruz in left. Took a hit away from him when it left the bat. I thought he was going to have the first hit of the ball game, but De La Cruz with a sliding catch. He started to say for Matt McLean's quick at-bat that this ballpark, known for giving up home runs, but these two teams not among the league leaders in those. In fact, the Reds in the middle of the pack, around 14th in home runs, and the Marlins toward the bottom. And that includes the 27, 29, whatever it is that Jorge Soler has. So they've only hit 105 home runs coming in.
They added one to their total last inning when Josh Bell left the yard in left field.
I mean, you compare that like to the Atlanta Braves and what they're doing. I mean, on pace to really right now a chance to shatter the record that the Twins set, and already 200, nearly 250 home runs, I think, for the Braves. So just
here is Steer hitting a ball deep into left field, and he's going to tie up the game with a second deck shot. He adds to his team lead in home runs with number 18, and we are starting over.
Well, you called it, Jared. Steer came to the plate and with the thump in his bat that would give him the opportunity to tie this game, and boy, he did. That was a no-doubter. De La Cruz didn't even move. That ball, you just had made a sound. That sound, you just like, all right, how far is it going to go? So we're back to even.
How about that? Us talking about these two teams not amongst the league leaders in home runs, and here they are, both runs in the ball game via a solo home run. And Dad, you know Joey Votto is all about the theatrics of the game. And you know, off of his old buddy and teammate, Johnny Cueto, he would love to follow up that Spencer Steer shot with one of his own.
Well, we talked about the importance of every game for these two teams now as we're about to reach the three-quarter mark on this 2023 season. We said both of them in the hunt right now on the outside looking in, but just barely. And a lot of things can happen. It's going to be an exciting finish to this season.
This is towards the middle. Arise with a great stop. And how about Joey Votto beating it out for an infield single?
The wheels on the 39-year-old as he smelled that base hit. It was a really nice play at second by Arise as he backhanded it, but it kind of almost spun him all the way around, and so he had to reset his speed, and Votto smelling his hit, and now he's 2 for 2 against his old buddy.
Yeah, Joey Votto says retiring? Never heard of it. Joey is just one of the great personalities in the game. They love him around here, and rightfully so. Former MVP. Obviously, the average is not what it once was, but what's hilarious about that is his slugging is through the roof, and that's because even when he's not getting the base hits, albeit 2 today, he's hitting the ball out of the ballpark still. So here's Christian Encarnacion Strand, who is 0 for 1, flew out on the first pitch he saw in his first trip. And this guy is another guy that I feel like isn't being talked about enough amongst all of the other top prospects the Reds have called up. He's going to be a stud.
Oh.
And he crushes one to left. And Encarnacion Strand leaves the yard with a 2-run homer. And the Reds have flipped the script on Johnny Cueto here in the 4th. All of it with 2 outs. Steer a home run, Votto an infield base hit, and CES with a 2-run shot.
Well, that ball got out of here in a hurry, about 8-10 rows up down the left field line, and he just absolutely tattooed that pitch. And so Johnny Cueto just sailing along for 3 2/3 innings, only giving up a ground ball base hit, but now with 2 outs, a line drive home run, an infield hit, and another line drive home run. And as you said, the script has been flipped here, 3-1 now for the Reds here in the bottom of the 4th. A little visit from pitching coach for the Marlins. Stoudemire tried to calm down and just regroup. The veteran Cueto veteran, he's been through many wars, so it's not that he's going to be rattled by this, but as we talked about, second time through the lineup after going through so cleanly, and now the Reds making a couple of loud noises.
And the Reds offense can certainly do that to you in the blink of an eye. I mean, this is how we said they rely on winning games. Their young stars can beat you. Spencer Steer with the home run, his 18th. Encarnacion Strand after Votto's base hit to extend the inning. And you said earlier, Dad, sometimes Encarnacion Strand just hits the ball and it just comes off of his bat differently. I mean, this guy just absolutely tattoos baseballs.
Yeah, it makes a different sound. And they talk about that, and you just know when you got one. And he hit a home run on Monday night that was a line drive missile into the seats in left field, in the same way here tonight, or this afternoon. So, but that's why they brought him up. And we talked early in the year, the Reds had, like the Marlins, high batting average, but not a lot of slug. Votto had been out, he hadn't been playing, but now they've added Encarnacion Strand, they've added Votto back in the lineup, and so that's brought some more thunder, and you're seeing more home runs from this, and now Steer as well, leading the team with 18. So they're coming around with the power.
Dad, I'm going to flash you back to last year's trading deadline. The Reds sent Tyler Mahle to the Twins. You know who came back from Minnesota? Spencer Steer and Christian Encarnacion Strand.
Wow. And that's just just a huge, and then they get Mahle back, right? And so it just, let's say this Reds team flipped. I mean, if you look at the roster last year and the year before, there's a whole lot of new names, most of them up-and-coming bright stars for the Reds. And gone is the Moustakas and the Castellanos, and guys like Tucker Barnhart's and even Kyle Farmer. All of them dealt away, and it is a new look team, and it is exciting. And like I said, it's got this Cincinnati fan base really energized.
3-2 pitch coming up to Stevenson with 2 gone, and he's going to continue to battle here. He struck out looking his first time up. He wasn't pleased with that strike 3 call. Well, that was a different game back then. Nothing doing for either team offensively through the first 3 innings. All of a sudden, Bell homers in the top of the inning. And then the Reds answer in a big way here in the bottom. And Stevenson's going to continue the inning. with a walk here, and all of a sudden you look up and you see Johnny Cueto's pitch count over 60.
Yeah, he's throwing a lot of pitches this inning after it looked like he was going to get through another quick inning. The bunt by Friedel back to the mound. On 2 pitches, Matt McLean lines out to center, but since then it's home run, single, home run, and now walk. And so the inning continues, and Nick Senzel will see if he can continue and keep the train moving.
Senzel, a former first-round pick of the Reds, a former top prospect. He has been in the league with this team since 2019. He hasn't turned into quite the player they once anticipated him being, but he has been a role player, a utility guy for David Bell's club this year, and has filled in wherever they need him to.
Yeah, they've played him a little bit all over the field, playing some third base, playing some outfield, just wherever David Bell feels like he'll help. He's batted second at times. He's hitting 7th today, but the former second overall pick has settled into his role here on this team, and just it's just interesting. But this is 5th season with the Reds, and now he's one of the more grizzled veterans on this team,
right.
with all the rookie and second-year players on this team.
Absolutely. Senzel stands in, awaiting a 1-2 from Cueto. That's down into the dirt.
Well, just a different inning. I mean, Johnny Cueto was through the first 3 innings at about 37 or so pitches, and he is coming close to 30 pitches here just in this inning alone.
Yeah.
And it's just a whole different feel. Like you said, only 3 base runners in the first 3 innings for both teams, and now we've got home runs and runners, and Senzel continues to battle as he fouls that one off. So Cueto will throw close to his 30th pitch in this inning. So what looked like was going to be a quick one and maybe a break for these bullpens, they'll start stirring.
Yep.
Ashcraft's thrown a good number of pitches as well through 4 innings.
Cueto's next delivery. This has popped up foul behind the plate. Senzel continues this good at bat here against Cueto. Yeah, the Marlins bullpen was used for 3 innings last night after Braxton Garrett went 6. That included their closer, David Robertson.
Yeah, and the Reds bullpen also last six pitchers pitched, as Weaver was only able to go 4 1/3 innings.
So Cueto's going to get Senzel swinging here to retire the side finally in the 4th. But wow, the Reds with some 2-out magic.
1 game behind the Cubs in the loss column, virtually in a virtual tie, as they play 2 more games than the Cubs, and then they are 2 games behind front-running Milwaukee, against whom, if they don't make the playoffs, they can look at very much at that matchup where they went 3-9 against the Brewers, and the rest of the National League Central, they're only playing about 500. They've made their bones with their record against the American League this year, which they've got some games coming up against some American League teams remaining. Toronto, Seattle, and the Angels still on their schedule, and Cleveland as well. So, in fact, and Minnesota. So 5 of their final 11 opponents will be American League teams. So they'll hope that will continue, and that will keep them in this race.
1-2 count here on Berger to lead off the top of the 5th. He's going to ground one over to 3rd. Senzel fields the hop, throws on the run, and a good play to start the top of the 5th inning as Senzel retires Jake Berger. 1 third baseman grounds out to another, and Ashcraft continues to roll here this afternoon.
That's a really nice play by Senzel as he caught that ball on the run, moving toward the line, avoided the base, and threw from almost foul territory on the run. Made a good, strong throw to Votto. We saw a few games ago where Senzel kind of got the yips throwing from 3rd base and threw a couple away in the same inning. But that was a really, really good play.
Here's the catcher, Jacob Stallings, who grounded out to 3rd his 1 trip up. He showed bunt right there.
Senzel playing back almost on the grass down there at 3rd, so Stallings trying to catch him napping.
Yeah, Stallings originally drafted by the Pirates way back when, was a top prospect for them, was always known as a defensive catcher, and he has lived up to that moniker. He had one really good offensive season in 2021 for his standards, and then the Pirates shipped him off to Miami for a package of 3 prospects that included Zach Thompson, who is no longer with the organization. Down season for Stallings with Miami last year. He's kind of become the number 2 catcher for Skip Schumacher, as Nick Fortes has really stepped into the primary guy behind the plate. I thought I might see him add a catcher, but they really like their group with Fortes and Stallings, because one thing is those guys do is they don't get hurt.
Yeah, Stallings was on the bench the first 2 games of this series, did not play a Monday night's game, came in as a defensive replacement last night, got his first at bat. This is his second at bat of the series so far. Son of a college basketball coach, Kevin Stallings.
3-2 pitch. They appealed down to first on the check swing, and Chad Whitson said he did not go, and so Stallings is going to take his base.
The shortstop, Jim Berry.
First walk of the game for either team. Well, actually, Stevenson walked last inning for the Marlins. It's their first walk.
So both catchers drawing a walk here in the last respective half inning. 1 out base runner. Here's John Birdie.
Birdie it. Broke into the league a lot later than most guys do. When he made his debut, he was 31 years old. Like I said, that was back in September of 2018 with the team that drafted him, the Blue Jays. The Marlins have made very good use of Birdie ever since claiming him off waivers back in the offseason of 2019.
And he's made the most of it, too, as we said. He's kind of being that 4th infielder, 4th outfielder, or 5th infielder, excuse me, 4th outfielder kind of guy for Skip Schumacher and the previous managers of the Marlins, Don Mattingly. And, well, I know it seems like when he played the Braves, he played the Cubs, he's always getting big hits against them. So he's the kind of guy, when you put him out there, he plays hard, and he just made the most of his opportunity. Got it late, but took advantage of it. You like that? You got to like that kind of story for a guy. For all the fuss and fanfare for these 20 and 21-year-olds and 22-year-olds to come up, to see a guy like this plug through in the minor leagues and wait for his chance and make the most of it. You got to like and tip your hat to a guy like that.
There are a couple of foul balls. The count is now 1-2 as that one spun into the other batter's box. Stallings is at first. Trust me, he's not going anywhere.
Yeah, Joey's holding him on, but you almost wonder why. He's only got about an 8-foot lead off.
Ashcraft just threw his 74th pitch of the game. These Reds starting pitching staff ranks bottom of the National League. 14th in the National League, in front of only Colorado in starting pitching ERA. Birdie punches this one over to second. They got plenty of time to get Stallings, and that's all they'll get, as McLean threw over to De La Cruz to get the force out number 2 of the inning, and Birdie will reach on the fielder's choice.
Nice play by McLean. Long throw there. With Birdie's speed, there was absolutely no chance they were going to get a double play. Stallings went in aggressively, cleanly, and De La Cruz did the wise thing, just held on to that. They had no chance to get Birdie. So with 2 outs, we'll go back to the top of the order.
Here's the very dangerous Jorge Soler, who was set down for the first time this season as the leadoff hitter. Back in the 3rd inning, he got a base hit to start the ball game. Went 3 for 3 last night, including a go-ahead 7th inning home run. And so I was making the point back in the top of the 1st when he got that hit. You think Skip Schumacher's going to move him out of the leadoff spot anytime soon?
If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? So I think at least for the foreseeable future, as long as Soler is producing in that spot, just trying to shake up the lineup. So far, it's worked. He's 1-0.
Yeah. Yeah, in a short sample throughout his career, he does have 6 home runs and an OPS over 800 in the leadoff spot, but he's going to ground out to De La Cruz here to end the top of the 5th.
Very slow start, and that's kind of allowed the Cubs to move past him in the wild card race. But still, plenty of time for them to figure it out and right the ship. Going to be much tougher for the Marlins than for the Reds. We started to talk about the remaining schedules, the Marlins have what is ranked as the 7th toughest schedule remaining, playing all the first place teams yet in their season to go, whereas the Reds have the 22nd toughest schedule and only the 2nd toughest in the National League, behind only the Cubs, based on won-loss percentage. Of course, we all know that what that's worth, but at least based on so far, the teams remaining, good chance for the Reds.
Fairchild's going to be out by a step here as he rolled over to Jake Berger. He stayed back on it over by the line.
44, the shortstop.
Reared back and threw a strike to first over to Josh Bell. Fairchild runs well. This whole team, with the exception of like 2 or 3 guys, really can scoop. It's a nice play by Berger to back his veteran starter, Johnny Cueto, who is really in need of a bounce-back inning. Can't let this get much worse. We've already talked about the Marlins' offensive struggles. I hate to emphasize it, but it is worth noting if this were to get much more out of hand.
Well, if it stays like this will be, what, the 37th time that the Reds technically be a come-from-behind win, as
Yes.
Marlins scored first. They lead the league in that category, including 6 walk-off wins. But it has been the hallmark of this team so far this season. They don't give up. They are relentless offensively, and they keep coming at you through 27 outs.
Elly De La Cruz watches that one inside for ball 2. This is his 3rd trip to the plate. He struck out to lead off the game for the Reds, lined out to Josh Bell to end the 3rd inning, and looking to get something going here with 1 gone in inning number 5. Cueto changes things up with a slow down delivery there, a little shimmy that's become so well known around people that watch him, and he just fooled De La Cruz there.
Yes, yeah, hand actually came off the bat, and only his backhand doesn't finish that swing. So we've seen him do that. Now I wouldn't be surprised to see him jump this windup and try to quick pitch him here through his motion. We've seen him do that a couple of times. Standard motion.
Here's a shot into right center field. That'll touch down for a base hit. Elly is going to try for 2, and the throw by Chisholm is going to be in time, and that was just an all-around exciting baseball play.
Man, what a great throw by Chisholm as he was moving away from his throwing side into right center field. The ball really smoked. De La Cruz thinking 2 out of the box, and he forced Chisholm to make a perfect throw, and he did. And just a great play as Arias got it and laid the tag on the diving De La Cruz. You like the aggressiveness there, although you figure if he stops at first, how long would it take him before he's running? But it's a good break for Cueto here with now 2 outs in this 5th inning.
Yeah, Jazz Chisholm, the second baseman by trade, playing center field for the first time this year and getting an outfield assist as Friedel pops the first pitch up behind the plate. Stallings is there onto the warning track, and Friedel is gone on the first pitch.
Yeah, we got 4 out of the 5. A little taste of, the immaculate grid. You've been playing the immaculate grid, Garrett, with catching the craze around baseball. I haven't played it yet today, but that's been a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun. It just, sure, you don't win any money or anything playing it, but I mean, it's nice to turn the clock back and think of some baseball players that you just simply forgot about.
Yeah.
So here's Arise leading off the top of the 6th inning against Ashcraft. 1-1 count on the anomaly in Major League Baseball today.
Luis Arise, although he's struggling lately, been a while since he had a hit. He's hitting so far in the series. Robbed by De La Cruz in the 1st inning.
Yeah, that ball had eyes for center field. Elly laid out. You can still see the dirt stains on his uniform. 2 strikes. He's going to ground this one directly where De La Cruz was standing, and that will be an easy 6-3 putout. Ashcraft has just been sensational today, Dad.
Yeah, pitched around a couple of base hits in that 1st inning. Leadoff hit to Soler, and then a 2-out hit to Chisholm. But other than that, the only blemish on his day so far is the solo home run by Bell, leading off the 4th. The only other base runner to this point was a 1-out walk to Jacob Stallings last inning. So only 2 guys have reached base since that 1st inning.
And this team that we talk about all the time is so much fun and so dynamic offensively is really just looking for anything from their starting pitching. And the way that Ashcraft has been pitching since June the 30th is just, it's been uplifting. And I mean, it's going to go a long way down the final 2 months if this is indicative of how he's going to pitch.
Well, like we said, his first 6 starts, 2-0 with a 2 ERA. Then he's 13 ERA in his next 7 starts, or 8 starts. But since that time, he has been lights out. And if the Reds are going to have any kind of success into the postseason this year, it's going to be with starts like this from Ashcraft.
He almost just gave up another solo shot to Josh Bell, who this time flew out to the track and right. It was a homer to left field his last time. This time he got a fastball inside and drove it to right field. But even in this ballpark, it was not enough. Fairchild, about 3 steps in front of the wall, made the catch for out number 2.
Yeah, Bell just got under it a little bit, maybe a little bit toward the end of the bat. And now Jazz Chisholm talking to Bill Miller again. It looks like we got timeout again to start the at-bat. So these two guys have had a little bit of interchange here today.
You know, Jazz is just an exciting young player. We saw him make the great play in center field, throwing out another young rising star in this game, Ellie De La Cruz, last half inning. But don't let his size fool you. This guy has got some pop in his bat. He's got 11 home runs this season, and that is in a shortened 46, 47 games this year.
Yeah,
so, I mean,
he really changed the lineup for them when he came back and is playing. He just is instant excitement. Surprising pop for a little guy.
We'll drive this one the other way to left field. This will hook foul. 2 strikes on Mr. Chisholm.
That one had home run distance as it went about 6 rows past the foul pole, but about 20 feet foul. Ball sliced like one of my drives.
And he got him swinging on a slider inside. If that was the last pitch that Graham Ashcraft threw, it was a wonderful outing here at home against the Marlins. Lopez was used as a closer for the Orioles in the first half of 2022, was traded over to the Twins at the previous deadline. And he had a decent run, not as good as he was with Baltimore in the first half of the year, but the Twins flipped him to the Marlins, and here he is, making an appearance here in the 6th inning, trying to keep the game right where it is.
His 4th appearance, or 5th appearance now, 4 previous appearances. Once he joined the Marlins, he's got 1 win. 4 innings pitched, 5 hits, 2 runs. Both of them earned. Walked 2, struck out 2. In a small sample size so far. He takes over for Cueto, who was good, but 1 inning has got him on the wrong side of this one. And unless his teammates can come back here against this Reds team and the Reds bullpen, Cueto will fall to 0-4. Johnny went 5 innings, gave up 5 hits. 2 of those were home runs, 3 runs. They were all earned. 1 walk, 5 strikeouts. And a quality appearance, but on the wrong end is Graham Ashcraft has been just a little bit better.
Lopez, not the start he was hoping for. 3 straight misses here to Matt McClain, who is 0 for 2 with a couple of flyouts today.
But Matt McClain, one of these speedy jackrabbits on this Red team, do not want to be giving leadoff walks to them. As you said, they lead this baseball in stolen bases as a team. He takes a called strike. So run the count to 3-1.
Lopez comes into the game overall this season split between the Twins and Marlins with a 5.03 ERA. And this one is one hop the bell. It squirts past his glove, and it'll be a leadoff knock for Matt McClain.
Just 3 hard hit balls by Matt McClain. We talked about it earlier. And we didn't get a chance because his back got shortened, but this guy has just been phenomenal for this Reds team, and De La Cruz, since he came up, has kind of gotten all the glitz in the headlines, but McClain has been so solid out of UCLA, just a quality hitter, and like I say, he's got 3 line drives. That one, Bell was playing about 25 feet off the bag, and it short hopped off his glove. Once it got past him, no chance to get the speedy McClain.
And Lopez will use one of his disengagements here as he is going to keep a close eye, him and Stallings, on Matt McLean. You know, you don't see the pitch out really much anymore these days, but would you be shocked if they went with one here? Because, I mean, you got to figure they're going to run at some point. Long pause by Lopez, and he's going to use a second disengagement.
Well, now it gets really interesting because now if he goes over, he's got to get him. So we'll see if McLean stretches out his lead. Yeah, I just, at this point, what's the under-over on how long before McLean takes off? I give it 3 pitches.
There's a called strike to Spencer Steer, who hit his 18th home run of the season earlier in the ball game, part of that 3-run 4th inning. Back then, the Marlins were leading 1-0. There was 2 out and nobody on. Steer turned the game around with 1 swing. And McLean faked a break and then held up as the pitch squirts outside.
Yeah, I don't know if... I think he wanted to go. I think he felt like he didn't get a good jump. Or maybe he spun his wheels a little bit. It had to rain earlier, but the field looks to be in great condition right now. But for whatever reason, he held up.
Not going. Steer with a line drive. Caught by Arise.
Berto Ortiz says that Arise caught that on the fly. Good base running by McLean to get back to the base. That one could have been a double play a couple of different ways. Arise caught that right above his shoe tops. And that's out number 1.
So Votto's having a good day. 2 hits and 2 trips. Scored a run. One of his hits was on the infield. Nice play by Arise to knock it down. But by the time his throw got to first base, Joey was already 3 steps past. And this one's going to spin inside for ball 1. Just such a great career here in Cincinnati for Joey Votto. Like I said, former MVP winner, has been a part of 4 different postseason runs with him. Looking to make 1 more here in 2023.
And he was on the cusp of being right around 300 for his career, but the last couple of seasons probably going to cost him that. His career batting average with runners on base, 310. 924 of his hits have come with runners on base. 202 of those are doubles.
He is in the 2,000 hit club, achieved that in 2021 right here at this ballpark against the Chicago Cubs. It was right around this date, too. It was in August of 2021 when he got his illustrious 2,000th hit as he fouls this one out of play. Now 2 strikes on Joey Votto. I think he's made it pretty clear that once he retires, he wants to give broadcasting a try.
Well, he's a colorful character, and he's become more and more of that as his career went on. I seem to remember that when he first, in his early parts of his career, struggling a little bit with depression, but boy, he is a colorful character. And if you saw that interview he did with Chris Russo where he just kind of, I think he had some fun, but I think there was some hidden truth in that too. He didn't like, as Russo, he was commenting on the fact that Russo had said that Joey Votto was in the Hall of Very Good, but not the Hall of Fame. But I think there's enough people who might disagree with that. I think at some point you'll see Votto giving a speech at Cooperstown, and that will be worth the price of admission. That
I agree. I think he's headed there as well as he takes inside 2-2. Joey, 7 different times in his career, Dad, 7, has led baseball in on-base percentage.
Well, he just has always had just a very selective eye at the plate, and to the point of the reputation that I think even the umpires, you know, if Joey thought it was a ball, they went with him the few times where they disagreed. We've seen Joey get pretty volatile at times, and I remember him getting kicked out of a game against the Cubs in the first inning on arguing balls and strikes. So he's a volatile player, but boy, has he meant so much to this Reds franchise. There goes McLean.
And it's a base hit into right field, and McLean will get third base as the hit and run pays off, and Joey Votto is 3 for 3 today.
Well, you talk about baseball being a game of inches. As McLean took off, Arise stayed home to the pull for the left-handed hitter, and Votto pulled it hard and just barely over the glove. If he catches it, it is an easy double play, but just above the outstretched glove, and that ball into right field, and McLean easily around to third base. So with one out, they're on the corners now for Steer, and Stottlemyre's going to come out now and talk to Lopez here to see if this is about strategy or what the deal might be here.
So, Ned, we're not the only game going on right now. The Milwaukee Brewers are hosting the Colorado Rockies, and the Rockies had some trouble early. The Brewers had the bases loaded and 1 out in the bottom of the second, and Colorado got out of it. That game is still scoreless as they head to the top of the third inning.
We talk about
and Adrian Hauser, the pitching matchup over there in Milwaukee.
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you, Jared. But you talk about this Marlins team pitching dominant and struggling offensively. Part two of that, the Milwaukee Brewers. Now they have managed to maintain a stranglehold on first place for the most of this season so far, and they're there now, but the Cubs are right there, a game behind, and it's about the offensive woes. This is the rubber game of that series as well for Milwaukee and Colorado, as Milwaukee pulled away late in game one, but then last night in extra innings, they went to the 10th inning, tied at 3, and Colorado pushed across 4 runs to win the second game. And so today's rubber game, and Milwaukee just struggling to find consistent offense this season, and it's going to come down to that for them.
Good pitch right there by Lopez to get Encarnacion Strand to wave over that slide piece. Encarnacion Strand. That is his full last name, but you'll see on his jersey that they have shortened it just to Encarnacion. He still likes to be referred to by his full name.
Well,
and he's going to get a base hit in the center field. He has the go-ahead home run today, and he's going to add to his RBI total with a solid base hit up the middle to score McLean.
Again, another hard hit ball off the bat of Encarnacion Strand. You talk about his name. They tried to put it on there, but it was wound up going all the way down, halfway down his legs almost. The longest name letters-wise in the big leagues, I think, ever, with the hyphenated name. But boy, if he's going to keep hitting balls like that, he may tell him, figure out a way to get my name on the back of this jersey. Third RBI of the game for him, the second hit, and the Reds out now to a 4-1 lead. Lopez getting knocked around here, some hard line drives here in relief of Cueto.
Yeah, just another incredible young player on this team. Like I said, he's probably going to be a first baseman long term, probably looking like the first baseman of the future for the Reds once Votto hangs it up. And
he's a big guy too. I mean, he's got a lot of thunder, a lot of power in that bat. So they're going to be looking for him to provide the long balls along with Steer. Of course, De La Cruz, with his power, and he just figures it out and grows into his body even more over the next few years. So, as we have said several times, the future extremely bright. These Cincinnati Red fans, you can say it, as we walked up, you could just feel there's a sense of excitement in the air that hasn't been here for a while. And man, it's going to be interesting to see how the next few years play out, especially if guys like Ascraft and Hunter Green and these starters, if they come around for this team.
2-2 on Stevenson, who has a walk today.
The second coming of the Big Red Machine.
Yeah, no, seriously. And I mean, these guys, it's just like, it felt like for a stretch of time, it was just like every 2 weeks, all right, here's our next top prospect that's making his major league debut. And oh, by the way, he's going to hit right out of the gate. And it's just, not always do all of your top prospects hit. And that's why some teams don't turn the corner as fast as the Reds had. But when all of these guys just come up and become instant producers, that's how you get what the Reds are. And Stevenson is going to go down swinging as Lopez gets a big second out here as he tries to escape with only 1 run on the board in the 6th inning. And now they'll turn it to Nick Senzel to try to come through with 2 outs. But yeah, just to follow up, I mean, you think about Kansas City. Kansas City the last few years has called up a good bit of top prospects, and the difference is that they haven't turned out as they were profiled in the minor leagues. And Cincinnati has just called up these guys as Stallings threw behind the runner Encarnacion Strand there at first, and they almost got him.
Yeah, he looked at just getting ahead of the tag as he dove back in there. Josh Bell, it looked like a set play where on his first pitch, and runners in first and second, first baseman plays way off the bag, but he broke on the pitch. So if that ball had been hit in his direction, it would have gone into the outfield. But trying to catch Encarnacion Strand now got to a huge lead. Bell playing a good 25 feet off the line, and Encarnacion Strand almost matching him there.
So Senzel's going to fall behind 0-2 here. He's already struck out twice in the game, once looking, once swinging. Both of those were against Johnny Cueto, obviously. And he is just going to have to bear down here to turn his day around and get the Reds more insurance runs. The outfield is shifting towards right. There's a huge gap by the left field line. If he could somehow pull one past Jake Berger, I think 2 runs are going to score easily.
Well, you talk about the Royals, they got the superstar phenom, Bobby Witt Jr. Yep. Just this guy, just such an exciting player. But not these other guys, but this Reds team. And you work for the Gwinnett Stripers, the AAA team for the Braves, and so you've seen the Louisville team. They've got even more down there, don't they?
Yes, they do. Yeah, Noel V. Marte, shortstop who was acquired for Luis Castillo from Seattle, comes to mind. I mean, Connor Phillips, starting pitcher. I mean, they're loaded, man. They're loaded. They're absolutely loaded.
And then you shuffle in a couple of veteran players, and it's gonna be interesting to see to try to replace the leadership of a Joey Votto. So where that might come from, but if I'm a free agent, this would be a good place to want to come.
Senzel pops up into shallow center field. Second baseman arises there, and the Reds will have to settle for 1. Starting with Brian De La Cruz, who's 0 for 2. And the first pitch, oh man, just absolutely fooled right there.
One of the weakest swings I've ever seen in baseball. The ball was in the glove, and he just kind of half-hearted attempt by De La Cruz. Really fooled by Ashcraft. It's been really sharp. Only giving up 3 hits, 2 of those in the first inning. And so just giving David Bell everything he could have hoped for here on this getaway day. There is action down in the Reds bullpen as well as in the Marlins bullpen. So we're getting to that point. But, man, we talked about it, this Reds team, they're starting pitching one of the worst in the league in terms of innings pitched and ERA coming into today. But, man, it's just a shot in the arm.
Yeah,
Bell and the Reds.
Absolutely. And this is a team that is expecting Hunter Green back in the next couple of weeks. Like you said, he just made a rehab. I just checked in on the news and notes for the Reds, and they say, by the end of the month, he's going to be here.
Yeah, he said through 2 scoreless innings with 3 strikeouts in a rehab start to the Arizona League yesterday. And so that's really good news, and so they're hoping that. I saw an interview Monday night where they were talking to him when he was here. And during Monday night's game, and he is optimistic and ready and anxious to get back. Also, you've got Lodolo. We're waiting on him. He's on the 60-day, but he's been throwing. He threw another bullpen session, according to MLB.com. So hopefully he's on his way back as well, and that would be a tremendous boost to this Reds pitching staff.
Well, that was yet another strikeout for for Graham Ashcraft, as he got Brian De La Cruz swinging, chasing a slider near the other batter's box. It's back-to-back strikeouts for Ashcraft, going back to the last out of the 6th inning. Overall in the game, that was his 6th. And here's one of his victims right here, Avisail Garcia, 0 for 2 today. Really struggling this season, Dad. He's only got 94 at-bats, but so far this year he's only hitting 191. He was signed to a big 4-year deal by the Marlins prior to last season, so...
Yeah, he got off to a really good start with them, if I remember right. But then kind of settled in, and as you said, struggling this year. And I think some of that frustration may have boiled over on Monday night as he was called out on strikes on a close pitch, and he took umbrage with it with Roberto Ortiz, the home plate umpire on Monday night, who sent him early to the showers, and it wasn't long after that Skip Schumacher also got an early release from the game.
And he's going to drive this ball to right field. It'll hang up for Fairchild, and the frustrations continue for Garcia as he smacked that ball the opposite way. But there just happened to be a defender right there. And, man, when you're struggling, that's just the way it goes.
Boy, and trying to keep your head up on that, they tell you, have good at-bats. And after a strikeout in his first at-bat, he has lined out hard twice to Fairchild and right. So nothing to show for it. And the Marlins starting to run out of outs here in this afternoon matinee game.
Ashcraft with his 98th pitch, and it's in there for a strike to Jake Berger, also 0 for 2 today. The Marlins only have 3 hits. Soler, Bell, and Chisholm are responsible for those. 5 through 9 has provided pretty much nothing for Miami today, as Ashcraft has just completely shut them down, and now he's got Berger 0 and 2. Ashcraft, there's no windup for him. He pitches exclusively out of the stretch. And the Reds fans here are starting to get behind him as they want one more out.
Oh, he really muscled up on that one and yanked it as he was trying to finish it on his 100th pitch with a flourish. So you got to believe this is it for him. What an outing for them. Said that 2 of the first 4 batters reached on singles, and it took a great play by De La Cruz to keep 3 of the first 4. But since then, only 2 base runners. One of those, the home run by Bell, the opposite field shot leading off the 4th, and then the only other base runner in this game since the first inning was a 1-out walk to the catcher Stallings. He has been phenomenal today.
1-2 pitch coming here to Berger, and he is going to foul off yet another. Not going to go down easily is Jake Berger. He was a former first-round pick of the White Sox.
Well, the White Sox are really struggling right now. I wonder how Berger feels about getting out of that situation right now.
And he swings at one in the dirt. Stevenson will have to complete it, and he throws a strike to Votto, and Ashcraft is pumped up as he ends his outing with his 7th K of the day. Once they acquired David Robertson, he has settled in to a setup role along with fellow lefty Tanner Scott, and Puck is called upon here in the 7th to cool down this Reds offense that has really heated up in the last 3 innings.
Boy, and they needed it too, having lost 5 of their last 6 ball games. So Puck will try to hold him right here and give this Marlins team a chance to come back in the last 2 innings against what you have to believe will be the Reds bullpen after 7 terrific outings by Ashcraft.
So Fairchild swings through the first delivery from Puck. AJ is in his first season with the Marlins. He spent first few years of his career with the Oakland A's, was a prized prospect with Oakland. He debuted shortly in the season where the A's went to the wild card game in 2019. Injuries just plagued his career, and the thoughts of him being a starter were quickly thrown out the window. And he became a reliever, had a pretty good season with Oakland last year. The Marlins got him for outfielder J.J. Bleday in the offseason, and he just struck out Fairchild on 3 pitches.
Game number 40 for A.J. Puck. Had 5 wins, 4 losses, and 15 saves. As you said, he had been operating as the closer. 36 innings pitched. He's given up 38 hits, 19 earned runs, 6 home runs in there. He's walked 8 and struck out 49. So a 6-to-1 ratio there that just got a little bit better with the strikeout of Fairchild, averaging 12 Ks per inning. So been very good out of the bullpen for the Marlins this year.
So Ellie is up for his 4th time, and he swings right on past the fastball at 96 miles an hour as he was late. He is 1 for 3 today, is De La Cruz, although he was thrown out by Jazz Chisholm trying to stretch a single into a double back in the 5th inning. 0-2 pitch from Puck, and he just does get a piece. You know, I see so many young kids here at the ballpark today wearing their Ellie De La Cruz jersey.
Yeah, that didn't take long at all, did it?
You're gonna see his jersey sales just absolutely spike throughout not just Cincinnati but all over the baseball world here, as fans are just clamoring to him. It was really the cycle he had against the Braves that kind of just once and for all grabbed everybody's attention back in June.
Well, he came in with a stick of dynamite early on when he came in that first series of the Braves, and he was instant offense, instant excitement. These two guys, the pitcher and batter here, I'd like to see them square off in a game of one-on-one in basketball.
Yeah. This is going to be an infield knock for De La Cruz as he just tapped it over the mound. Puck had trouble getting off the mound, and by the time Arise was there, Ellie was already taking off his equipment.
Man, great big chopper over the mound. You get it over that 6'7" Puck out there. He's a big guy, 6'7", 248 pounds, out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. And when that one bounced over his head, you could just forget about it. There's no chance in even thinking about a throw as De La Cruz, especially out of the left-handed batter's box. So with one out now, he's there, and again, look for him to run with Friedel at the plate.
Puck looks like he's going to be a pretty tough guy to run on, but even so, yeah, I would just go ahead and assume that at least once in this AB, De La Cruz is going to try it. Birdie is playing only a handful of steps away from the second base bag, just in case there is a steal. And Friedel swings through that one. Quiet day for TJ Friedel.
Yeah, he's having a good series coming into the game today. He was 3 for 7, had 3 RBIs, including a double. But they've held him down today. He tried to get on with a bunt hit, one of his at-bats, but he got to him. Now they got De La Cruz picked off.
Yeah, Puck picked a great time to throw over, and that's going to go 1-3-6.
No signal yet.
As he got the ball to Josh Bell, and Bell quickly threw it on to Birdie, and Birdie chased him down for the second out of the inning. So that will erase the infield single. That's the second time De La Cruz has made an out on the bases.
Well, you talked about it, that the lefty Puck was going to be hard to steal on, and De La Cruz went on first move, and he gets wrong.
This ball's going to stay in play. Stallings tosses the mask, but gives way to the third baseman, Jake Berger, and Puck faces the minimum in the 7th inning. Infield hit by De La Cruz, but then he picked him off, and so 7 are in the books.
Had a strikeout, gave up a home run, pitched the 8th inning, gave up the home run to Chisholm. But that was a game that the Reds went on to win 5-2. 224 pitches that night. Got a 3.07 ERA coming into today's action. His job here to hold.
Yeah, probably going to get to see Alexis Diaz if this stays a 3-run game with the off day tomorrow for the Reds. Diaz obviously did not pitch yesterday, but did close out the game on Monday night here against these Marlins. And the pitch from Jabot to Stallings is up. The count is 1-2. How about this stat? Jabot has retired the first batter in 39 of his 53 appearances.
That's a key to success in the bullpen. I mean, I think the stats of every inning, when you retire the first batter, it goes a long way towards staying off the scoreboard. So. Lights are still on here at Great American Ballpark on the banks of the Ohio River. Just an absolutely gorgeous, perfect day. When you think about Cincinnati in the summertime, normally it's sweltering heat, but it's been very pleasant here today. It's been cloud cover all day. The shower that delayed our start by 35 minutes. But since then, we've been playing baseball. Looks like we're going to have no trouble getting this in here. A getaway day for both these teams. The Marlins head home to face the Yankees. The Reds will head for a quick 3-game road trip into Pittsburgh.
And Jabot will get Stallings looking, and he has a quick word with Bill Miller, still standing there with his hands on his hips. And he'll have to walk back to the dugout as once again Jabot retires the first man of an inning.
That is strikeout number 8 by Marlins batters. Graham Ashcraft, just sensational. 7 innings pitched, 3 hits, 1 one run, that on the solo home run by Josh Bell, so it was earned. Only walked one hitter, struck out 7, 103 pitches, and he's trying to even his season record at 7-7 and keep this Reds team right there in a virtual tie with the Cubs, who will play later tonight in New York against the Mets.
This is going to drop in front of Spencer Steer for a base hit by John Birdie, and that is the first hit for the Marlins by a 5 through 9 hitter, and it comes from the number 9 man, John Birdie.
First hit since the leadoff home run by Bell in the 4th inning, and only the second base runner. The only base runner was the walk to Stallings in the 5th. So just now getting to the 4th time through the order, Soler for his 4th at bat in the 8th inning. That's a good sign. That means not a lot of guys reaching base.
Yeah, the Marlins have got the right guys up if they want to stage a comeback here against this very good Reds bullpen. They like to call them the Fantastic Four. Diaz, Jabot, Farmer, and Lucas Sims. Soler got Sims in the 7th inning last night.
Yeah, Sims took the loss last night as Soler got the 2-run home run and the come-from-behind win for the Marlins that even the series. Sims only threw 3 pitches, so I got to imagine he's available. He did pitch in game 1 of the series as well, and he only threw 4 pitches in that, so been in both games but only threw 7 pitches.
0-2 pitch to Soler. In there, got him looking. It only took 3 pitches for Soler to go down, and he just got tossed. Jorge Soler just got ejected from Bill Miller, and he doesn't understand why. Skip Schumacher came sprinting out there to try to get some answers. And the Marlins DH and home run leader has just been ejected here in the top of the 8th inning.
Well, we've just seen some really hypersensitive ejections by some of the umpires around baseball. I mentioned earlier Bill Miller is a strong personality. We've seen him a lot where he's got a very, well, shall we say, liberal moving strike zone, and Skip Schumacher is just losing his mind right now that he threw his big DH out. I mean, only 4 outs remaining in this game, but if they get back around to Soler, that's a huge loss, and Miller just quick with the toss. Didn't see Soler say a whole lot, and now Shoemaker's going to join him. For the second time in the series, Schumacher's been ejected. That's number 5 on the season for the first-year skipper of the Marlins. And he's still arguing with the crew chief, Bill Miller.
Yeah, Dad, I don't know what Soler said, but I think Schumacher's got a case here. I mean, I know you can't argue balls and strikes, but it did not look like he said a whole lot. He turned back, said something to him, and then turned away and started walking towards the dugout. And one of my biggest pet peeves is when an umpire will eject a guy who is walking away. Soler had his back turned to Bill Miller, and Miller ripped his mask off and ejected the Marlins home run leader and leadoff hitter.
Well, I mean, the umpires have a tough job, and calling balls and strikes with the speed of the pitches and the motion of the pitches and stuff. And so sometimes it's, you know, and the scrutiny that they're under with the pitch box and all of that. But I think if you look at Bill Miller this year, he's been on umpire auditor a bunch of times with some really bad and blatant misses. Now, it's hard to tell from where we were whether that pitch was a strike or not, but kind of seems like a lot of hypersensitivity. You wonder where there's allowance for passion. Again, we don't know what Soler said, but Soler doesn't even speak a lot of English, so I'm not sure Miller knows what Soler said either.
David Bell has gone to Sam Mole here to face Luis Ariz, and there was some drama here in the top of the 8th inning. We went back and looked at the pitches to Soler, and I mean, I'm going to be honest, Bill Miller got it right.
They're in the strike zone. That's why, so again, you just wonder. Soler is not, I wonder how many times in his career he's been ejected. He doesn't strike me as a guy, and what we've watched in his years with the Cubs and the Braves, we've got to see him a lot, and he just seemed genuinely surprised that he got the hook. But as I said, Bill Miller is a passionate guy, and he's probably among the league leaders in ejections as umpires go. But it is what it is. And Schumacher joined him afterwards after a very long conversation there and discussion. And it was discussion too. Sometimes you see those where the umpire just stands there quietly and listens, but there was a lot of back and forth, and then finally Miller said that was enough and sent Shoemaker packing for the second time here in the series.
And Arise is going to smack one the other way for a base hit. You can only keep a good hitter down for so long, as he will move to 1 for 4 on the day, as he just smoked that ball off the lefty into left field.
Yeah, kind of spoiled the lefty-lefty advantage there, but with a guy like Arise, it really doesn't matter. So now 2 outs and 2 runners on. Tying run will come to the plate in the person of Josh Bell. He's going to flip around and hit right-handed, which he doesn't hit as well for average, but I think if his stats, if I remember right, he's got a little more thump from the right side.
And he is going to crush one to right center field. This baby has got a chance to go, and Josh Bell, with his second home run of the day, is responsible for all of the Marlins' runs. And the plan to go with Sam Moll has completely backfired against David Bell here, as with 2 outs in the inning after the ejection, Arise gets a base hit, and Bell hits the 3-run homer to tie it up at 4.
First pitch to Bell, and I just was saying he had more power from the right-hand side, and he drove that one to right center field over the Toyota sign. TJ Friedel went back as far as he could, but it was about 3 rows deep, close to 400 feet. And man, has that changed this ball game? A game that you just felt like the Reds were in total control of. And now all of a sudden we're back to ground zero here with 2 outs in the 8th inning. And both these teams trying to stay in the playoff hunt, in the wild card hunt, and both of them struggling here in August, and here they are even in the 8th inning. Johnny Cueto off the hook.
Yeah, and that'll mean that Graham Ashcraft's incredible performance will go without a victory no matter what happens the rest of the way here.
Yeah, nothing to take away from what Ashcraft did, but obviously that is not what David Bell wanted here. And you wonder about, you can always second guess when you bring in the lefty, and he's only thrown, it was his first 3 pitches, single, 3-run homer. And Jabot looked tough. He got 2 called strikes. Yeah, there was a sandwich around a base hit, but the second guessers will look at that one. Sometimes you make a move and you make the right move and it still doesn't work out. Sometimes you make the wrong move and you get away with it. I don't know which one it was, but whatever the case, we're tied at 4 here in the 8th. And Moll continues to struggle right now.
Yeah, facing Jazz Chisholm. He's in a 2-2 count here. That last one not even close. Single, strikeout for Jazz. And he's going to go down swinging for the 3rd time in the game.
Yeah, McLean leads off. He's 1 for 3. Then Steer, who's got a home run, and Joey Votto, who's 3 for 3 of the scheduled hitters here in the bottom of the 8th in this new ball game. First pitch swinging, McLean.
Oh, and it's under the glove of Birdie. McLean hit a ground ball that looked routine, and John Birdie just let it skip right underneath his glove.
It was going to probably be a close play. Birdie had to run hard toward second base, but it just looked like he never got down far enough. We'll see how they score it. Sharply hit ground ball, McLean hustling out of the box, but I think that's a play of Major League Birdie tell you he's got to make. So we're waiting for the official scores ruling here, but either way, the Speedy McLean is on base for the 2nd time in 2nd straight plate appearance. And once again, you got to believe, again, it's against the lefty, but at some point be running here. Here's Steer.
Yeah, the Reds do not have a stolen base so far today as Steer fouls the first pitch from Scott back.
Well, the Reds come out aggressive here against Tanner Scott. This is game number 54 for Tanner Scott, all of them in relief. He's 5 and 4. He's got 2 saves and 22 holds, 53 2/3 innings pitched, so about an inning an outing. 37 hits, 17 earned runs, 2 home runs, 22 walks, 77 strikeouts. And his job tried to hold him right here and give his offense a chance to take the lead in the ninth.
Yeah, that's a lot of strikeouts in 53 and a third inning. 77. This guy has been the premier setup man for the Marlins this year. And he's dealing with some traffic here with McLean at first. And, man, Steer just missed extra bases down the third base line. And Berger was playing on the line.
Yeah, but that ball was smoked down the line, but about 2 feet foul. It would have put the Reds in business down there. Outfield's deep, as you might imagine, especially in left field with De La Cruz. McLean really looks runnerish over there at first. Huge lead. The throw over sends him back on his belly.
Yeah, McLean was a part of that hit and run when Votto got his third hit back in the 6th inning and later scored on the Christian Encarnacion Strand single. And Steer is going to crush another one down the left field line, but it's well fouled.
Well, that's 2 of them. He is absolutely tattooed. He just got out in front of him. Of course, he hit that one into the seats. It was also mashed.
Yeah. Well,
but that's got Scott ahead of him now, 0-2.
Dad, if you look out to the out-of-town scoreboard out there where Steer hit his home run, there's a LED patch that's out because of where Steer's ball smashed into that facing of the LED screen. You see?
Yeah, right where it says make some noise and get loud. There's a little black spot there where the ball hit it, knocked out some of those bulbs or knocked out that whatever chip in the electrical grid. So the ground crew will have to fix that during the weekend away series that the Reds have in Pittsburgh.
0-2 pitch yet again, and Steer just continues to stay alive. This guy's just a quality hitter.
Just barely got a piece of that one as he tipped it off and off the glove of Stallings, couldn't hold on back to the screen. So the count remains a ball or no balls and 2 strikes. They gave McLean a hit on that single or on that ground ball under Birdie's glove. And I do think it was going to be a close play with the speed of McLean, one of the faster guys out of the right-handed batter's box. But so that's hit number 10 for the Reds. Marlins only have 6 hits, 3 of them coming in that 8th inning.
Comes another 0-2 pitch here from Scott to Steer, and just another foul ball.
Steer's battling.
Yeah,
pounding the strike zone, and he just keeps on fouling off pitches. The first 2 he squared up and pulled him foul. The last 2 he just managed to stay alive. Left-handed Joey Votto in the on-deck circle.
He's enjoying a really nice day at the plate. Steer is as well with that home run. A couple of lineouts to go with it, and he's going to go down swinging here as he was late on a heater from Scott.
Scott went to a slide step too, so he's keeping McLean close over there and keeping him off balance. But what a big strikeout. Strikeout number 78 on the year. You talked about it. Scott is a strikeout pitcher, and boy, he got one right there, needed it. Sun trying to break through for the first time today. Just glimpses of it as the clouds are starting to break. We're seeing some minor patches of blue.
And Joey was backing out of the box there on a wicked slider from Tanner Scott.
Scott throwing 11 pitches, all of them for strikes.
This guy's a strike thrower. Was originally a Baltimore Oriole. Came over to the Marlins before last season in a trade for 2 prospects. Scott pitched in 67 games last year with Miami and is on pace to pitch a little more than that this year. And man, they are getting their money's worth for this guy. It's always valuable to have a power lefty in the back end of that bullpen. It feels like the Marlins have 3 or 4 of them. And we've already seen Pug. Now you're seeing Scott. Andrew Nardi through yesterday. Stephen Okert is also out there. I mean, this bullpen is just backloaded with left-handed pitchers. McLean hopping around over there first. He does not go, and Votto is late on the fastball. And his perfect day will end right here in the 8th inning with a strikeout against Tanner Scott.
Just a really weak late swing. Maybe Joey just didn't even was expecting something else. By the time he got the bat to the zone, the ball was in Stallings' glove. And so after the leadoff single by McLean, he's still at first base, and back-to-back strikeouts by Tanner Scott. One more mile to go against a tough hitter, Strand, who's had a really good day.
He swings and misses at the first pitch he sees from Scott. So far today, Encarnacion Strand flew out to right, hit a 2-run homer, and then got an RBI single that at the time made it a 4-1 game. Now how big is that RBI single looking? The Marlins could have a lead if not for that insurance run. And he is quickly down 0-2 here.
Man, Tanner Scott just continues pound the strike zone. 16 pitches, 15 of them strikes. We're going to get timeout as Encarnacion Strand tries to get his wits about him here and see if he can foil this left-handed reliever for the Marlins, who is really...
Man, what an inning. He got Encarnacion Strand on 3 pitches, and he struck out the side in the bottom of the 8th inning after McLean led it off with what was ruled a base hit. So here we go in the 9th inning. Alexis Diaz, one of the best closers in baseball, and Brian De La Cruz ambushes the first pitch and flies it to right field. This ball is going to be a home run. It's a home run on the first pitch of the 9th inning by Brian De La Cruz. And in the blink of an eye, the Marlins have taken the lead on the Reds.
Boy, it was this crowd that had been so raucous and so excited. It is eerily silent right here now as this Reds bullpen has let this one get away. 4-1 going into the 8th, and now the 3rd home run of the day, the 2nd one in successive innings. 2 of the last 3 hitters going deep, and as you said, just an ambush job by De La Cruz, who was not having a good day offensively up until that point. 2 groundouts to second and a strikeout, but he took the first pitch and hit one of those slicing drives that just stayed fair inside the foul pole and into the Marlins bullpen. And now the Reds in danger of losing another series in their 5th out of 6 games on this road homestand.
Got some fans heading for the exits here after that home run. Although I wouldn't go anywhere. This team is...
It's only one.
Yeah, and we talked about it before, Dad. They got a lot of life, and they have a lot of comebacks this year. In fact, they lead baseball in comebacks. 6 walk-off wins this year, but Diaz is going to have to keep it at the 1 run as Garcia lines one sharply to center field. Friedel tracks it down for the first out, and that's back-to-back hard lineouts for Abisayo Garcia. And one thing the Marlins can take away from that is he's getting close.
Yeah, boy, that's what you have to say. And they'll go home and face the Yankees on Friday in Miami. And say you can see in his body language a little frustrated, but he actually absolutely tattooed that ball. Friedel ran it down just short of the track in center field. So 2 hard hit balls here off of Diaz. Not used to seeing that.
He spins a first pitch ball up there to Jake Berger, another guy who can hurt you with a long ball. He's got 26 of them this year, 54 runs driven in. De La Cruz, we told you, is one of the guys who can slug on this team. And here's a ball down the line off the bat of Jake Berger. This will be a double. And the Marlins are hitting Alexis Diaz hard here in the top of the 9th inning. Home run, line out, double.
Just inside the bag, down into the corner, rattles around. By the time Steer can get it down there, Berger easily into second with a 1-out double. It's going to be the bottom 3rd of the order, scheduled to face the Marlin closer, who's warming up down there, and their bullpen down just outside the right field wall. But Diaz got to try to keep this right here as he faces 8 and 9. Jacob Stallings 0 for 3. I started to say, and I didn't even get a chance because De La Cruz hit the first pitch for a home run. But as you mentioned, that Birdie in that last inning, he got a single. That was the first hit by anybody batting 5 through 9. And It was 6, 7, 8 coming up. They were 0 for 9, and they've hit the ball hard 3 times, 2 hits, and now Stallings, who's also, so those first 4 hitters scheduled this inning, 0 for 12 coming in against one of the best closers in baseball. So that just tells you can't, as Yogi Berra said, describe baseball in one word. You never know.
That is closer David Robertson warming up for Miami down there in the pen. He would love more than a 1-run lead here if the Marlins can somehow get Berger in from second. Stallings is in a 3-1 count. He does have a walk today.
Yeah, correction. 0 for 11 with the walk to Stallings coming in. So first mistake I ever made. Boy, just you can sense the uneasiness in this Reds crowd.
Yeah. And they are going to walk Stallings here as the Marlins dugout is the only people in the stadium making some noise right now. I mean, you can hear a pin drop right now.
We are sitting up here in the 5th deck on the red side of home plate, and when that ball 4 crossed the plate, we could clearly hear the Marlins dugout. That's how quiet this crowd is right here. And again, it had been excited and raucous, and just 20 minutes ago or so, they were looking at a 4-1 victory to kind of right the ship as they head into Pittsburgh, and now here they are in danger of losing for the 8th time in 9 games. Still only a 1-run game so far. If Diaz can shut this down against Birdie and the replacement for the, and we talked about here, so we're going to get back around unless Birdie hits into a double play. Soler's spot will come back up. So now how big is that ejection?
Yeah, it's going to be Jesus Sanchez who is standing on deck. If the Reds opt to go to a lefty, which there is one throwing, should Sanchez come up, I believe the Marlins might counter with Yuli Gurriel.
Boy, Diaz just struggling to strike. 15 pitches and 8 of them outside the strike zone.
Yeah, you could tell he was rattled by that ambush from De La Cruz. And sometimes, Dad, with these closers, as he gets a ground ball right back to him, throw to McLean, and they turn the double play on Birdie.
That's a hard thing to do, too. Birdie very fast from the right-handed batter's box, but sharply hit back to Diaz and dominated him. And now it'll be 7-8-9 to face Robertson here in his 5th appearance since coming over to the Marlins. He has 1 loss, 2 saves, pitched 4 innings, given up 3 hits, 4 earned runs, 2 home runs, walked 2, struck out 5. He's on here to try to close this out, get his 3rd save, and the Marlins take this series. Boy, just to add to another, just a frustrating stretch for these Reds. Won the first game in Chicago, then lost 3 to the Cubs, came home, got swept by the Nationals over the weekend. Won game 1 against the Marlins before losing a close ball game last night.
That's going to be grounded to Bell. He'll flip over to Robertson, who covers, and Stevenson is retired on a 3-1 put out here to start things of the night. When it first left his bat, I thought the hole was big enough over there on the right side to squeak through, but Josh Bell had him played perfectly. And that's a tough start to the bottom of the 9th inning, as now Nick Senzel will come up and try to get things going. He has not had the day he was hoping for. 2 strikeouts and a pop-out so far on the day. David Robertson has been around a long time and has been around the league. As I'll get to that in a second, as Senzel pops the first pitch up. Who wants it? That's going to be Brian De La Cruz, who, if things stand the way they are, is going to be the hero for the Marlins. And also, I'm noticing that Joey Wendell has come into the game to play shortstop for John Birdie.
Hey, you wonder what happened there. Birdie's not a bad defender. He was hustling down the first base line trying to beat out that double play. It looked like he did hit the bag hard at first, but nonetheless, Wendell's out there now, and 1 more out to go for David Robertson to steal this one. We talked about the Reds being the come-from-behind team, the best one in the big leagues this year, but it's the Marlins trying to do that for the 2nd day in a row and hand them another 1-run loss.
Yeah, and that's where the Marlins have excelled. They lead baseball in one-run victories this year. But it's not over yet. Fairchild with a 2-out knock into left field, and that'll flip it over for Ellie De La Cruz.
And now the crowd comes to life because this is a guy you want up here now. De La Cruz, this exciting rookie. Fairchild been struggling at the plate today, but 2 strikeouts, 0 for 3. A hard line drive over the head of Wendell into left field. So here you go with a chance for the team with the most comeback in the big leagues this year, looking for number 37 here. They will have done it actually twice today. Come from behind.
Robertson has thrown so many big innings in his career. Just last season with Philadelphia, he was pitching in the World Series, trying to get the Marlins to their first postseason in the non-2020 season since 2003. And there is a strike to Ellie, who has 2 hits today, but they both have asterisks next to him because he was thrown out in the 5th trying to stretch a single to a double, and then he was picked off in the 7th inning by A.J. Puck. Let's see if he's got some heroics in him here in the 9th inning, as Robertson will deliver a 1-1 pitch, and he fooled him with that classic knuckle curve from David Robertson.
He was so far out in front of that one, he just started his swing and then realized the ball wasn't going to get there. And he even slowed down his swing and still was way out in front of it.
And Ellie will use his 1 timeout. Robertson came over from the Mets in a trade on July 26th. The Mets obviously had a disappointing season, had to flip him to their division rivals who are trying to make a postseason push, and they're really going to need this one. The 1-2 from David Robertson, that's in the dirt. Fairchild will stay put with Stallings making a good play.
After the sun trying to break through, I'm actually feeling a couple of drizzly raindrops. Certainly nothing that's going to impact this game, but David Robertson, as we said, has got 2 saves since he's come over to the Marlins, but he has given up 2 home runs. De La Cruz wants to hit the 3rd one here and turn this game around one more time and give the Reds a walk-off win. It would be their 7th if he can do it.
And now Stallings and Robertson are going to talk about this on the mound to a chorus of boos.
But Jared, I mentioned coming in, 22 strikeouts by the Marlins in this series coming in, 21 by the Reds. Both teams have struck out 10 times today. When it comes down to here, this at bat with De La Cruz against Robertson.
And the 2-2 pitch, got him, and the Marlins win it. They win the series against the Reds here in Cincinnati with back-to-back comebacks against the team with the most comebacks in baseball, and the Marlins add to their MLB leading 1-run victories.